Hello everyone and welcome to our channel, The Biblical Story of Creation. In the previous video, we tried to conceptualize the evening and morning segments as presented in the Law of Moses. Today, we are going to talk about the position of each of these segments in the composition of the days, based on three coordinate systems that we identified in the Pentateuch. In the creation system with the creative day and before sin, in the decreation system with the common day after sin, and in the instruction system in the cultic day, which begins with the Passover of Exodus. As we have seen in the last videos, we can identify three different coordinated systems guiding the narratives based on a structure of references that interweaves the first sin on the one hand, and on the other, the conditions of proximity favor versus divine distance and disfavor. The creation system before sin, the decreation system after sin, and the instruction system also after sin, presenting the liberation of Egypt and the alliance with Israel. With three main scenarios: paradise, exile from paradise, and liberation, pointing to three fundamental themes in the Pentateuch: holiness prevailing before sin, absence of holiness after sin, and return to holiness in the covenant set with Israel, which in turn will have days that will be their own and exclusive to them: the creative day for the creation system, the common day for the decreation system, and the cultic day for the instruction system. As we have already seen, the composition of each type of day seems to make use of a differentiated valuation of each segment of the day and progressive inversions in the relationship between one segment and another. Thus, in the common day, the dual pair, which brings together light and darkness, no segment of the day is valued with repetitions. The day is quoted before the night and paired equally with it, making up the period of 24 hours. On the cultic day, night, more prominent than day, is counted before it, with the next significant event being the sunset of the next light, completing the 24-hour period. In other words, the current light during the course of the sun is less valued, no longer mentioned, but is recognized as the second part of the day that ends at the next sunset. On the creative day, in turn, light is more valued than night, since night is not mentioned in the descriptive closing of each of the first 6 days, although it must be recognized before clarity in order to form the dual pair, dark and light, with no definite indication of the time duration. And with regard to the evening and morning, on the common day, there is no emphasis on the repetition of these segments. Morning is quoted before evening, and night comes after evening. In the cultic day, with emphasis on the evening and morning repetitions, the evening is mentioned before the morning and the night is placed between the evening and the morning. On the creative day, evenings and mornings are even more valued, with evening also cited before morning, but night is recognized before the evening. On the common day, the morning starts the light which ends in the evening, followed by the night, completing the 24-hour period. In the cultic day, in an inverted way, the evening, starting at night, is quoted before the morning, and the night, more valued, is quoted before the light, which, despite being undervalued, extends until the sunset of the next light, completing the 24-hour day. And in the creative day, evening is also mentioned before morning, but both are related to the period of light, without the interposition of night as happens in the cultic day, with a duration period not indicated by the text. That is, in the ordinary day, the light appears later in the night, as we usually understand the dark light sequence. And the day or light begins in the morning twilight, ending by the evening twilight, followed by the night, completing the 24-hour period as shown, for example, in these verses from Genesis and Exodus. Genesis 49. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he divides the plunder. Exodus 18. The next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning until evening. Or Genesis 7:12. And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Genesis 31:40. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and the sleep fled from my eyes. In the composition of the cultic day, even though the common perception recognizes that the day begins at the twilight in the morning, it is verified that from Easter the counting occurs in another format, especially prepared to experience the worship prescriptions ordered at Sinai, that has the night as the first segment of the day, more valued, because it is framed by the evening and morning twilights, followed by the next period of light, less valued. Thus, the evening twilight begins and marks the 24-hour day that ends at the next sunset, as shown, for example, in these texts from Exodus and Leviticus. Exodus 12:18. In the first month you are to eat bread made without yeast, from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st day. Leviticus 23:32. It is a day of Sabbath, rest for you, and you must deny yourselves. From the evening of the 9th day of the month until the following evening you are to observe your Sabbath. And so we come to the creative day, which, as we have seen, differs from both the ordinary and the cultic day. In relation to the common day, because it counts the night before the day and the evening before the morning. In relation to the cultic day, because despite emphasizing the evening and morning segments with repetitions, counting the night before the day and quoting the evening before the morning, it differs from it because it does not place the night between the evening and the morning. But let's see the description of the first day. Genesis 1:3. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. By quoting the night before the evening, the creative day makes up a completely different composition from what we are used to. That is, instead of the day starting in the morning, it starts in the evening, which extends until midday, being followed by the morning, which makes up the second half of the day. It is then necessary to ask, why on the first day, evening and morning would correspond to their two halves? Due to the lack of a star in the firmament that divides daylight, making it completely twilight, presence of light without the sight of the sun. And why the evening inversion as the first part of the day? For, as we have seen, the first night, the darkness that already existed, had not been preceded by an Arab, or an evening, and if there was an Arab on the first day, as the text says, and being Arab a bearer of light, it can only be counted after the night with the appearance of light. Thus, understanding the twilight's Arab and Boker, or evening and morning, as the presence of light without the sight of the sun in the firmament, the terms can be applied both in the first week and outside of Genesis 1, in the rest of the Old Testament, and in the days we came to know after the flood. On the average day, the morning twilight begins the light, and the evening twilight ends it. On the cultic day, the evening and morning twilights frame the night, forming a block that, with the light of the following day, makes up the period of 24 hours. And so, in the first 6 days, either because there was no star in the firmament of days 1, 2, and 3, either because on the 4th, 5th, and 6th, the star that makes up the day is not yet called the sun, but great luminary or great light, probably with a different vision than we have today of the day's star, which later received the name of sun. And as we've seen in a previous video, this evening with increasing light for the first week looks more like the use of the term in Zechariah 14:7 than the historical use of the term outside of Genesis 1. It will be a unique day, a day known only to the Lord, with no distinction between day and night. When evening comes, there will be light. And so we finish talk about the evening and morning segments and the way they are presented in the composition of the days described in the Pentateuch. In the next video, we'll look at the relationship between days and time in the first week and how they can be distinguished from the days and time in which we live. See you in the next time. If you liked this video, give us your thumbs up and share. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell for notifications of new videos. And don't forget to register your comment. God bless us.